Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to the fifth Skilling Future Roundtable. As AI becomes deeply embedded into classrooms, our one critical question now defines the future of education. That is, are we simply using AI or are we using it responsibly? At Skilling Future, as all of you know, our mission is to support educators and school leaders in navigating AI with confidence, curiosity, and strong ethical intention. Through our roundtables, workshops, and fellowship programs, we are bringing global experts, practitioners together to co-create an AI-enabled learner-centered future. Today's session focuses on a conversation that can no longer wait, AI ethics in schools. How we prevent risk, protect learner identity and well-being, and lead with values in an age of rapidly evolving technology. To help us navigate this crucial conversation with clarity and expertise, we are delighted to have with us global leader in AI ethics and education. It is our utmost honor to welcome Dr. Rena Alasgarova, a distinguished educational leader and global expert in AI ethics, policy, and digital innovation in education. Dr. Rena holds two PhDs, one exploring the influence of social media on school leadership, and the other focused on first language iteration and preserve critical cultural and linguistic identity through stronger curriculum and teacher development. She has played a pivotal role in shaping AI educational policies in Azerbaijan, including the design of first university course on AI ethics, and continues to empower educators through transformative training programs. Her work carefully balances technological innovation with responsibility, ensuring that teachers and learners benefit from ethical, accessible, and inclusive digital tools. As an active member of the European Digital Education Hub's Quarter, she leads advocacy in explainable AI, ensuring AI systems are trustworthy, transparent, and aligned with human values. Her influence extends worldwide, contributing to global standards that prepare all learners for success in fast-changing and tech-powered society. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Reena, a visionary leader, a champion for responsible AI, and a true innovator transforming the future of education. To lead us in today's discussion and dive right into critical questions around AI ethics in schools, I'd now like to hand over to Andy, who will guide the conversation. Over to you, Andy.
Thank you, Sana, for such a great introduction. Hi, Rena. I hope that you're doing well today.
Yes, thank you. I'm doing great, and I hope everyone is ready to discuss the issues today. Yeah.
Yes, for those that are going to listen this conversation afterwards and that are listening it right now live, we really appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your questions in the chat because that's what we usually do. Our roundtables are quite dynamic, and I hope this one is not different from others. So, as I usually do, I start really like to the point. So, in one sentence, what does responsible AI in K-12 mean to you?
That means the ethical use by artificial intelligence and AI-empowered tools, both by teachers and students, and also by parents as well. And I might want to expand what ethical is, but that won't make it I won't make it in one sentence.
No, I mean, I think that sometimes when it comes to these kind of topics, the simpler the better, because obviously every time that we think about AI ethics or AI governance for that matter, we feel a little bit overwhelmed. Sometimes when we tackle them separately. It feels sort of like a daunting thing to do with educators. And that's why perhaps everybody is focusing on the tool training and not perhaps that much, which is perfectly fine because it's a hard skill that we all need in order to transmit it to our students. I am not saying that that's not important, but it is equally important, or maybe to say even more important, to instruct our students and our teacher staff when it comes to AI ethics. That's why I wanted to understand what did it mean to you, especially because I know that you have had years of becoming the incredible professional that you are right now and specialist. So how did when AI entered into your realm of understanding and knowledge, how did that, transform into understanding what it would look like, to have this responsible or responsibility when it comes to AI ethics?
Like what is interesting is um, about ethical and responsible use AI, maybe like what AI is, because like there is still no common understanding what AI is, but also what ethics is. And there is no one common understanding of ethics, is like because everyone has their own set of values. But an ethics here is the integrity, like in whatever you're doing. And if we speak about AI in terms of plagiarism or cheating, that is very important when we speak about ethical and responsible use of AI. But it also about how we use it to prepare our students for the future. And if you speak like how it come how it came into developing those, like in my school or in the university, it is a lot about educating students what is right and what is wrong at a very core. It's because the very first thing the students ask is like, if I cheat and no one notices, can I go on with that? No, you can, because first thing you need to ask yourself whether it is ethical for you and whether it is ethical for someone else. Like there is there is a difference between what students believe is ethical for them to do and for others to do. It's like they want to cheat and go on with that. Like it's, like if we speak about teenagers, right? They want the results, like the outcomes right here, right now. And like AI is the perfect thing for that. Like you want an essay, like, and you go. But do they want the test to be blindly created by AI or feedback blindly created by AI? No, they don't. And when you start asking them, it's like, do you want like your teacher give you feedback without reading your work? It's just generate something in AI. Like, no, we don't. Like, why would you think it is okay for you to generate your homework with AI?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to keep on talking about like these aspects about how is it that we assess ethically our students now that AI is in the room. Further down the line, the conversation today. So if that is something that the people in the audience came in here today, you are in for a treat because we've got the questions and we're gonna answer them. But let's start also, since we're talking specifically about like, okay, what does it mean and to talk about AI ethics in K-12 and of course in other spheres, but specifically in K-12, can you share maybe one AI ethic moment where you took it as an opportunity, especially for school environments that are starting into or getting into the process of educating their teacher, staff, and students that has been particularly interesting or meaningful to you?
Yeah, like with very, very basic example, like when students generated, it was, let's say like it happened about 2 years ago, right? And I specify that is because students are much more mature now with how they use AI. And the digital divide is getting bigger and bigger, whatever we say or whatever we do. But anyways, it's like to one of my classes in September when the year started, I was like, if you cheat, if you try to copy and paste using any AI tool, I will know. I can tell. Would they believe that? Of course not. Of course not. And I end up with 18 similar essays. I wouldn't grade them. I wouldn't grade them at all. It's like, and because again, my goal is to teach them rather than just to give them the grade. And I I selected only the opening lines, like opening paragraphs to their essays, and would start showing them like one by one in my presentation to the class. And some students like, oh, that is my essay. Like, no, sweetheart, that is not yours. That's someone else. Like, they wouldn't even recognize the essays. And like, this is when I realized that the students do not understand what AI generates. That was a very good teaching moment. It's like, here is what, like, if you have the same prompt, like, or similar prompt, like whatever AI model you use, like, it will probably give you a very similar output. And that was an aha moment. Like, this made me think about what, like, if other teachers would be able to recognize the pattern. And sometimes it turns out that not all of them can. And this is when it came to another teaching moment, like teaching teachers how to recognize AI generated patterns in text. And like, it's very, very basic, but it's very important, like, because if we speak about AI detector, they do not always work well. Yeah, because like, it's black box, right? And it's very important to keep a human in the loop. And I speak a lot about teacher agency and decision making. It should be for the teacher to make the final decision. And that is why teachers need to know how to understand whether the text was generated by AI or not, because like, trusting everything to AI, it's not an option.
Well, I love that you actually shared this example, because you call it simple, but I call it common. Because one of the first things that we know about our students is the way that they communicate. It is incredible what it does to coexist in a space with a person, and regardless of their age. And we as educators, not only that we know the pedagogical that's behind it, but also very interestingly, we know the way that they communicate. And it helps us also in terms of research for those out there that are thinking about the patterns, not only linguistically, but also in terms of like the patterns of behavior of our students. We can also be surprised sometimes that the student that we thought that was perhaps with higher moral and values ethics, perhaps was the one who also utilized it. So we have to ask ourselves better questions and not simplify the matter that much. For instance, in my case, I think that I know which are my students that are going to use it just for cheating and get that homework out of the way. And, AI was just there to amplify that thought. But then when I see the ones that I thought that they didn't needed it, or they might have used it as a support, I was surprised that then, hey, this person also used it. Why? So, am I, for example, overloading my students? Was it boring? And that's why this person was like, what is it that I'm going to get out of this assessment? That sort of thing. So, my question now is like, what are the top three risks for preventing not only the cheating, which is one of the main things that educators are trying to prevent because of the learning stops there, but also when it comes to, for example, over reliance or attention harms, chatbot dependency. So, how will you know that it's happening, and how will you prevent it?
So I need to like three risks that students are going to face. Then,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Probably the first one is critical thinking skills. Is like and I believe that is like very important now, with again, like with them wanting to get the answers as quickly as they can, with easy dopamine, or like whatever it is with them, what's happening with them now. Maybe like this is the main issue. I believe that we can enhance critical thinking skills and creativity with AI, but like, we really need to teach that like as a skill explicitly. But if they keep doing whatever they're doing now, like copying and pasting critical skill yeah, it's like it might be withering. It might be withering away. Like one of the main risks. Like the second one, if they do not learn how to use AI ethically now, and they're not probably told that again explicitly. I would keep saying that like explicit teaching is something that we really need right now. We cannot assume that it will all happen by itself. Yeah, but like if they do not know how and they do not know why and what consequences they may face if they do not start learning now, do they think that they will be able to find a place for themselves in the future? Can they know that they will be able to find a decent job in the future if they keep? It's not about, you know, like I was a kid, or whatever. Weren't we cheating at school? I was. Well, but like, you know, I still we still would understand that there are some skills that we would need in the future. And with AI, when everything is already ready for them, they might lose this, like, you know, like joining now and the future. That's the main thing.
You mean like the quality of the learning?
Exactly. So like, the thing is, like, if they do not understand how to use AI ethically now, and by ethical use here again, I mean how to use it as a tool and not to like over rely on that. And that might be that gap. You know, like when they get to the universities, because I work both like in school and in university, and with first year students now, I can see that like they still don't understand what they need. Like, you know, one of my students, they would like in university, they would say like, for our next seminar, like I'm doing this short course for like introduction to AI to first year students now. And a group of students, they came up to me like, we're doing seminars next week. Can you please teach us how to use humanizers not to be detected, like by AI detectors? I'm not doing that. Like they, you know, like they still have this thing in mind, like that they can like they should use AI not to be detected by another AI tool. And like if they do not develop this awareness, this understanding what AI is for, they will face the consequences in future. And this is the risk. Like we speak about the risk over, like, you know, we speak about the third risk. It's like one thing is over relying, the other thing is trusting. They trust AI too much. And you know, like what we've noticed during one of our research with my colleague, is that the younger the students are, the more they trust AI. You know, like that is the thing. We had interviews with students who were in grades 6, 7, 8. Okay, I will better tell the age because it's like Azerbaijani system. They were aged, one group was aged 11 to 13. And then other focus group was students in high school aged 16, 17, right? And there was a huge gap between their perception in AI, like between two groups. The students who were in high school, they were like 2 years difference between them. They would say like, oh, we see that, but like in our siblings, in our nieces, like nephews, cousins, they are all in AI. They do everything in AI. We tell them not to. Like those are also like students, you know. And you know, like what we thought is that those like in high school, they started their middle school life, let's say like journey, without AI. Yes, they would Google. They could Google. But like there was Google when they were in middle school, right? But again, like there was no generated text for them. So, and in like if we speak about Azerbaijan, they start writing longer essays when they come to middle school, like not in primary. And like, you know, like this metacognition, if you place, like it would start developing when they entered middle school. And with high school students, this period it was before AI. Like they had like this 2 or 3 years of schooling in the middle school before AI, and those who are middle schoolers now, it's all with AI for them. So they skip like, like this part where metacognition starts forming, when they understand what, like how to learn and what is better for them. They came already with AI, so they already have ready answers for everything. They do not need to challenge themselves.
I think that the keywords that we're talking about here is critical thinking and metacognition. Now, in terms, of course, what all this has to do with ethics. Well, definitely our ethical choices make the learning process path A, path B, for example. Not that it is that clear sometimes, because it depends on the student, of course, but it is also true that there is some sort of responsibility in our choices. For instance, in my particular case, I graduated from university and everything else by utilizing Google. I didn't do, research like the old school days, like for example my parents did, and that was a turn in learning, but still there was some sort of an effort. I also would say that there is, in that particular case, I had the privilege of being taught how to learn and how to research, for example, which is also one of the biggest things that I see that most schools are lacking. They go enter the classroom and they just go ahead, teach a subject, and they get in, they get out, and let their students navigate, their subject in a way that they might be struggling big time because they don't know how to learn. So it makes sense that when you have a tool that generates that information for you, you are going to rely on this because you're going to believe it is true. You're going, because of course, we think that if this is giving it to me, like for example, in the early days when we were utilizing Google, the quality of the answers,
Yeah.
or for example, Wikipedia rings a bell. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. We didn't contrast that information. So later down the line, we learned how to contrast that. So what are your early warning signs in the classroom, not only for your educators and for the students to keep an eye on, and of course at home, which is a question that I have for later on once you've finished this answer.
Yeah, like the thing is, if we speak about metacognition again, is like if we compare with what is happening now with when Google like became a commonplace, right? The situation is a bit different. And again, like as you said, as like with search browsers, we had to put an effort, we at least had to put things together. We didn't have humanizers, we didn't have Quillbot or Grammarly to do that for us. Like we had to put like at least the words together, right? But here, what we are facing now is like instant answers to whatever you ask. And the risk is like, if we speak about how that is all connected to ethics, and I will go back to where I started, like it is the set of values, like our inner values, which should also be taught. Like I keep saying that, like teaching explicitly, this is probably what we need to go back to. You know what? You know why? It's like because with instant answer that AI provides the students with, right? We need to start teaching them what ethics is, what values are, and then everything else, like this, like integrity. So like the three probably should come first, and like then metacognition, because like if they do not have this like set of values defined for themselves, if they do not understand what they need and what they want, it will be very challenging to teach what metacognition is.
Now, actually, this brings a very interesting point to my mind right now, because everybody is talking about the human in the loop. We need the human back in the loop. Like, okay, people, When was the last time that you had budget to have, ethics back in your school? I don't recall that because I remember that in my time, and I know that it sounds like an old lady when I say that, but when I was in school, I do remember that we had a class that it was called ethics and responsibility, social civics and stuff. So it was actually really interesting. Of course, I went to an experimental high school, and they really did make an effort when it came to making you part, like for you to be part as a citizen, a good citizen for society, right? So in this case, when it comes about learning integrity without policing and all that sort of thing, it is hard when you don't have the budget and you have so many bureaucratic things behind. Like, for example, an interesting question that is from the audience: what is the responsibility of AI companies, ministries of education, and institutions regarding AI ethics in education? That is a big one because then everything sort of like falls again on the teachers, the educators' shoulders, when actually we're not the one who actually make the rules. We have to follow some sort of guardrails. So where do we stand there?
Challenging. I agree. It's like if we speak about the situation in Azerbaijan, we do not have governance for AI for the time being. Like literally, at least for schools, like there is nothing that would be like universal for all schools or universities now. So like each school or university decide themselves what they're doing. Like I'm in a private school, so we started our AI policy right now. We received the final draft today. So like a big thing for us. But again, it's like you're right, like it's a lot on teachers' shoulders, like if we speak about private schools, the things are better, like with budgeting, financing, with policies, it's easier in private schools. But again, like in private schools, the language of instruction is English, and there are much more resources and everything. Like we speak about state schools, they do not have policies. Like everything they have comes from the like Ministry of Education or the agency, which is like now not happening. And there is no governance, there is no consistency. And like yes, if we speak about budgeting in state schools, this is probably like a very challenging moment for us. But again, it's like consistency doesn't require lots of financing, but what teachers are also limited in is time. When they can come together and at least discuss and say like, okay, we're on the same point. And another thing is literacy. Many teachers still like that, like they cannot tell like an ed tech tool from an AI powered tool. The training, like if we speak about training, if we speak about budgeting, educating teachers about the use of AI, we need to start with like that, like first literacy, digital literacy, and then build up on that. But yes, like time and money.
I know that it's related to a little bit more governance too, but when we step into governance, it's because perhaps some of those ethical AI ethics boundaries were sort of like left behind or aside, right? So what's the escalation path if harm appears? Like, what would you recommend? Because in that case, that is a much more governance kind of answer. But before that harm happens, what would you recommend, in simple words, for your teacher staff to pay attention to so they can transmit it into the classroom easily? Because we're talking about budgeting. Okay, we don't have the budget. So what do we do? Do we remain arm crossed? So what is the path?
Like if we do that, like if we stay blind to what is happening in the world now, like students will face consequences, not us, because it's their future that we're playing with now. So what I would recommend is probably first thing to have a sort of like I wouldn't call it a meeting, but a roundtable. This is how we started in my school. We gathered together, like the representatives from the primary school, from secondary school, from different departments, to sit down together and think about what we need and what my students want and what resources we have for that. And then we have all our thoughts together. We would create a pretty long list of what we all think we like next steps are going to be, and like the list was like really long. And then we started crossing out, like, this is urgent, this can wait, this is important, this might not be important. And then we shortened the list to like 5 to 6 bullet points and said, like, this is what we're going to think about, we're going to come. And like this happened for like 3 or 4 like round tables. So like we're minimizing the list, thinking what the priorities are, and then the things change with AI, new models appear, and you have to add something to the list, and this is happening, and you cannot avoid that. But like the easiest thing is like again, is like if you're not speaking about financing, we speak about time is luxury. So if you can find time to sit together, and but not like it shouldn't be just school principal or someone from the leadership team, teachers from different departments coming together, like maybe a homeroom teacher, someone like coming together to see what they think the priorities are. And then when you come to one understanding what we want, like we nominated one person in my school who drafted AI policy. And then when I like that when you speak about the teamwork, like everyone should be contributing. It was easier and more time efficient for one person to draft it from our ideas, and then everyone to review that draft.
So basically,
yeah.
Sorry, please go ahead.
No, it's like this is what I mean. It's like if everyone would sit down together and write that, like collaborative writing, that would come with a very long inconsistencies, and that would take forever, because finding some common time for everyone to sit together, and again, as I say again, it's like it's luxury. So like one person would draft it, and then everyone would comment on their own time, and then this is how we shape that. And later on, we will bring that to a larger community, to the student counselor, to students themselves, to see how that is going to work. Because that is related to the whole school community, not just teachers or SLT members.
So basically creating a AI integration implementation with purpose, and not as it goes, right? Well, I think that we're on the right path.
Otherwise there is no consistency. It's like if one teacher is doing one thing, one teacher like, you cannot use AI in my classroom. The other was like, yes, you can, you try it. And then the other one says like, students really do not know what they're doing.
And then the parents perhaps are floating around it because they are also lost. The students are also lost. So yes, creating a purposeful AI curriculum, let's say, or that it's embedded in the curriculum with purpose is something that honestly, I don't know how is it that we can go into 2026 without having this in mind. Now, let's go to the homes for a second, right? Since we're talking about integrity. And because the thing is that our job starts and finishes physically when we are in our educational environments, when we're in the institution. But of course, a lot of the blame comes when, like, oh, my kid did A or B being at home, but it's because it was influenced or was not informed when he or she was at school. That sort of conversation usually happens. So at home, when we are when our kids or not so young are at home, what are like some simple house rules, ethically wise, that you suggest for families to follow? Because of course, I always remind parents that we are a team. I really don't understand the conversations where it's like teachers against parents. I really don't understand that because we are a team where our own sole purpose is to get the final product which is our kids out there into the real world and for them to defend themselves the best the way they can, right? That's what we want for them, ideally. So, what are your suggestions in terms of like house rules, limits, conversations that they should have, at least in the minimum?
Yeah, it's good that we're talking about this now because we were also thinking about how we can do that with the parents. And we already started some parent workshops. I'm not doing that, my colleague is. We started with primary school. We're moving into secondary school now. Sorry. And so the main concern is not only how to use AI, is because, like when parents are at home, they should give students some their children some privacy, and like you do not really know what students are like children their children are doing in like in their rooms, right? So they can be using AI, however, but look, what we decided we're doing we decided to speak about cybersecurity first with the parents rather than
Yes.
rather than saying whether, yep, parents should be aware that students might use like or might not use AI for their homework.
Mm-hmm.
Parents might want to control, like like the older the student gets, like the older child gets, like like we speak about high school students, parents probably won't already control too much of the homework assignment they're doing at home.
Yes.
But again, with younger students, we advise some parental control, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we also speak about cybersecurity a lot. So this is what we're going to do next with secondary and high school
So
students.
what I see is that there are like sort of like three very important pillars here. That is not, it's cybersecurity, it's parenting our kids in this AI era, but also being positive about the fact that our kids are in this AI reality and they have also to learn the hard skills while they're working on their soft skills and trying to co-create and do the learning at the same time. Am I getting you right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. It's like, we usually encourage parents to allow their children use AI, because like there are still some families that would say like, no, you cannot use ChatGPT like to their younger kids, right? But again, it's like if we do allow it to some point in schools, parents should be supportive of that. But another thing is like, I'm not like touching the point when like we still do have parents who do not understand what AI is, but like this is normal. Like AI is like pretty new, and we cannot expect like everyone to understand what AI is and how AI is used. So like I won't put that everything onto parents now. But again, it's like when we come to cybersecurity, this is something parents really need to pay attention to. Like there are lots of tools now which are inappropriate. Students, they like children, I would say, like they, as I said, like the younger the children are, the more they trust AI. Some of our respondents, like when like we had this focus group interviews during our research, they would sometimes say that they would trust AI more than they trust their parents.
Hmm.
And
You know that there is a trend out there that we listen and we don't judge, right? I know that those are not into TikTok that much or don't have, like teenage kids around them or younger, perhaps might not be aware of this trend. But there is like this and it's meant to be funny. We listen, but we don't judge. And then you start saying things and you start like getting
yeah,
all worked out. But of course, if we are parents and the thing is that when you become a parent or you're an educator, the thing is that you also have to work a lot on your emotional balance and you have to do a lot of homework, behind the scenes. So, in order to perform accordingly to your role. And because as I talk to my parents out there, I tell them, listen, yes, you are an individual, but also your most important role right now is to be a parent. And because you're a guide, you have to also learn how to lead. So in this particular case, of course, that I do understand where the I don't want to open up to my parents come from, right? So in this, now that you're talking about cybersecurity, let's add equity into that mix, right? Let's talk a little bit about bias because it's strictly related to AI ethics in the schools right now. So how will schools, for example, do you think, especially as educators, will ensure fair interactions with AI? How is it that we're going to train our teacher staff and students about this matter?
Okay, if we speak about training again, I am the support of TPAC like model. Yes, like teachers should know about technology, but like pedagogy comes first. You know, like if you know how to differentiate or how to create this inclusive environment in school, you just transfer that to doing that with AI. You know, like, you know what I mean? It's like if you do not know how to differentiate without AI, you won't know how to do that with AI, right? So pedagogy comes first. And, you know, like then you can use AI tools to differentiate, to do some like personalized activities for the students to ensure that everyone have same access and can complete their tasks, right? But like if you do not how to do that, if you do not have the core basic knowledge of how you do that without technology, you have nothing to transfer to technology. This is the thing, is like probably is like at the very first thing we should be doing is like teaching teachers how to do that without AI, like or AI powered tools, and then transfer the skills.
Definitely. I mean, I am totally with you that using AI just for the sake of it is the worst idea ever, to put it simply, basically because it's not just a matter of getting lost, not even halfway through, like at the very beginning, because we might not know how to control it very well, but also if you don't have the substance, as you say, where is it that you're going to get whatever out? Like for example, recently I wrote this research paper that is related to how to elaborate and co-create writings with artificial intelligence, right? With specific large language models and such, right? So this is actually really interesting because if there is nothing in as you mentioned, if there is nothing in your core, how is it that you're going to do the metacognition process? What is it exactly that you're going to be analyzing? Like, where is the inspiration coming from? It has to come from somewhere, right? So if somewhere is nothing, where is the,
Exactly.
right?
And that's why like I love this conversation when everyone says like, oh, it's like when AI, like everyone is lazy now because of AI. It's like, oh, AI kills creativity. I always say like as if everyone was creative before AI, or like everyone was so industrious and like AI came.
Thank God. I use that a lot. I always tell people like, hello, when was the last time that everybody was Socrates and Plato walking with the toga
Yes,
and suddenly now because of AI we are SpongeBob? I always say that. That is a
right.
line that I always say.
You know, like AI is escaping though now, right? You know, like we can blame everything on AI now.
But it's very normal of humans to blame the external in order to
Yes.
not face and address the current gaps. Now, going back to almost get to the end of our conversation here, some of the comments are very, very interesting. For example, Elia says AI helps me a lot when it comes to stage management and ideas for props. That's for drama and theater, though. Which AI platforms will you recommend teaching other subjects like ESL, global citizenship, social studies, etc. Okay, that was a little bit too broad, but I guess that in that specific case is like what other tools you find that are responsible enough so you can develop, perhaps good materials. I think that I translated it's that, right?
Yeah. I don't want to recommend one very specific tool now, like in order to not to advertise. But again, it's like all AI is black box. So like I can't tell like one is more explainable than the other, because this is like explainability in AI is not really a thing so far. All AI is black box. The systems are opaque, so you cannot really say like, oh, like this one will create the materials that you can use in the classroom without even checking them. No, absolutely not. So what we're doing in our school, we are creating a list of the tools which we recommend to teachers. Can I again, like I won't name the tools, because like I don't want to like sort of advertise.
I mean, it's up to you. But again, you can simply say the disclaimer that you're not advertising, but in your particular case, your toolkit is ABC.
So like, let's say we would select several tools, like one for video generation, one for lesson planning, the other for quizzes. And, and we created this like list of tools. We asked teachers to contribute if they wanted, like it felt that there is some subject specific tool we might not be aware of. Why we're doing so is like, we do not want our teachers first to waste their time looking for hundreds of different tools which would do the same thing. Like, why would you need like 10 tools that create quizzes when you can use one that is like really very helpful? And like, you waste your time on looking for the tool, then you waste your time in the classroom teaching students how to use the tool when you already know that like one that works perfectly well. Or like the same with video generation or like translation or anything. And then like the second like super important thing is, again, cybersecurity, is because sometimes teachers they do not understand the concept of cybersecurity. They do not know how students enter their data and how that data is going to be stored. So like two main goals here, right? So like what I do, like I use some tools to generate videos and translate, and my avatars that speak my language, to speak Azerbaijani. I'm not that very good at Azerbaijani, and I sometimes need to teach in Azerbaijani. So I would create videos in Azerbaijani, or like my avatars that speak for me, and I'm very happy like that these tools exist. So yeah, it's like, if anyone needs a list of the tools, I can share the tools later.
Yes, well, thank you very much for that one, because probably people are might be asking like, "Oh, I want those tools." If she's saying it, I want it.
Yeah, I was like, I can share them.
They probably want those, so we're making like a mental note right now, to ask them later.
Like there are like really good tools that can create your avatars. They can speak very many languages, and you're just.
And it's also true that, for example, when all this boomed back then in by the end of 2022, it is also true that none of this was in mind. I mean, like they just created this thing that let's see how it goes and let's pick it up from there. Let's build from there, right? So obviously, right now we are so much, I would say, like in the early stages, but different from the past when it comes to our relationship with technology, because we already have 25 something years of training with a very specific digital technology. The adaptation to AI, it's going to be a lot faster because we understand it perhaps a little bit more. And when I say understand, it means that we perhaps can, let's say, acquire it a little bit easier, to into our lives, so that it doesn't feel so alien to us, even if it's something spectacular to use artificial intelligence, if you understand it correctly. Now, before we go, what do you think, in your experience, are this AI ethic blind spots that we perhaps are overlooking that could harm students, families, or school environments today and maybe tomorrow?
The thing again, I will go with governance. Even if we have policies ready, when we have the policies ready, the consistency is still there. Consistency is inconsistent. We are truly inconsistent with what we're doing, and having everyone on the same boat is like really, really challenging. And this is what we probably want to like common understanding what we want from AI and what we want from our students. So whether or where we are going with that. That is the first thing. And the second thing is understanding students themselves, how they think and what they feel, because this is very, very age specific, as I said. And as educators, we should understand that. So what AI is to a sixth grader is not what AI is to a high schooler. And the policies, guidelines should keep that in mind. And this is not happening. That the problem is that. And another thing, like I will say, like keeping human in the loop again, but I'm speaking about agency here. I'm not speaking about, like putting everything back to on the teacher's shoulders. No, I'm not speaking about that. What I'm speaking about is like that the decision, the final decision should be like made by the teachers, not by the tools. And again, like some policies, they overlook that. But going back again is like understanding the students comes first. AI won't be able to do that. And policies usually overlook that. Policies are not age specific at all.
This is so important, and not only important in terms of the policymakers and the leaders have to do better in order to demand. Because if you don't do better, how is it that you're going to demand? But again, we are in a very hypocritical society, but that is another conversation, right? In any case, what it is important though is to also explain why AI governance and AI ethics is mandatory. It should be mandatory at this point, especially because there are legal consequences. The more the time goes by, there are legal consequences. Schools, especially, and this message goes for the school leaders. It is important that you have this in mind, since there are going to be legal consequences that might show into, of course, fines that the educational institutions have to pay and so on, right? And of course, in terms also of the students and the educators too, since they actually have to know what is it that they have to take responsibility for, right? Like if I don't know what is it that I have to be responsible for and what are the consequences, perhaps innocently, just by doing something because of my lack of knowledge doesn't exempt me from me breaking, for example, the law or not being ethically correct. So this is an important warning. All right. So as we usually do, for those that are in the audience, if you guys have a question, it would be now the moment to raise your hand, to maybe add a comment or a case that you are going on. So maybe our brilliant guest speaker can help us out in this case. Of course, Sana, Shahida, if you guys would like to add anything while people in the audience think.
I have a question for Rena. Rena, usually one of the perception is that because our students now are digital natives, they know how to use AI, so they would also know the ethical challenges that are related to it and how to use it ethically. And that is a lot of time the perception that we come across, especially when we teach university students, that okay, they're adults, they do know that okay, how to use AI and where not to use it. However, that is not the case. How do we challenge or how do we talk about this issue that okay, talking about ethics, talking about this issues within that are present within AI or present within the tech that are important to discuss, whether that is the algorithmic bias, whether that is related to the training data that is present, how we are using it, how not to use it. So, how do we bring the stakeholders to the table and talk about that? Okay, why integrating ethics or why having a course on ethics is important?
It's a brilliant question. Thank you, Sana. But like, what's like, I can only speak from my perspective, like how we do that. Like I personally, I would knock doors. I would share my ideas like during like some networking events, telling people exactly what we need and what we want. And like within my school, I was sharing my views and ideas with, like, before we started integrating AI into curriculum, with my colleagues, reading the importance and significance of that. And then later with my university, and like my university was like, and it is very open-minded, so they started these courses for master degree students first, and now for bachelor students as well. But like basically, if we want to raise awareness, like probably the best thing is to raise awareness of the public first, sharing your expertise whenever we can. And like in my particular case, again, like that was networking, sharing with different stakeholders what like first I thought and the community thought about the issue. Like it's I know like as AI doesn't have legacy so far, like we can say like if we have like years of expertise behind our back. So it's like it was very important to bring that to individuals to have buy-ins first, and then start working on that, building on that. And again, maybe my example is very specific to Azerbaijan, where we do not have governance so far. But a lot depends on the context.
And yes, of course, we have been dealing with artificial intelligence for a long time, for over 2 decades now, even more. But generative AI is what specifically we are talking right now. And this is also some of the things that we have to make it very clear. That is generative AI specifically what we have the battle, not against, but I have to say like that we have to face.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
basically. All right. I don't know, Shahida, if you would like to add anything, maybe a thought, as well as anybody from the audience that have stayed the entire round table before we go.
Thank you so much, Rena, for a wonderful conversation. It is always a pleasure listening to you. And what I have concluded from today's conversation is that uh, it is everyone's responsibility. We cannot just say that, okay, it is government's responsibility or Ministry of Education's responsibility or a company's responsibility or institution's responsibility. I think everyone, including teachers, students, and the topmost hierarchy and everyone, I think we need to cultivate that sense of responsibility. And I fully agree when Rina said that we need to bring back the ethics and the values, because I think that is the only way we can create that sense of responsibility even in among students, because it is I think nearly impossible to tell that okay, which one is whether a text is AI generated or now in the presence of AI humanizers it is not AI generated. So the only thing which we can do right now is that develop a strong value set, strong ethical value set in our students, and strong sense of responsibility, and create that awareness in them that okay, what is good for them now and what is good for them not. So yeah, thank you so much, Andy, for your contribution, and I love the questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for participating, for staying with us, for this very important, much needed conversation. Rena, we cannot thank you enough for your time and your expertise. We wish that we could have a longer conversation, but we know that we all have a lot of things to do. So we really appreciate that you had taken the time. And later, just like a short announcement For next roundtable, we're going to be promoting it, but make it sure that it's going to be for our first week of December. So thank you very much for those who came, and well, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye.